Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And as ever, I'm going to date stamp this. It's year 4, blog 04. In legacy numbers, it's blog 160, and it's the 16th of March 2025. And it's going to be a bit of a different blog because everybody probably knows by now my mother's not been well. She's been in hospital all the way through the blog last week and even the update, and today she's going to be released, and there's going to be a lot of nurses around, and they're going to probably be evaluating the house and speaking to me about what I need to do, and all of that happens when I pick up my mother around about 1:30, 1:45, and then the nurses are here at 2. So I don't know even if I can get this blog done in the time scale, but I'll have a bloody good try. But I've had very little time to watch anything, see anything. It's all been about my mother. But just like anything, I've not had time to prepare for the war because I've had a few reinstalling things to do on my PC, which means that even though I started at 8 o'clock this morning, it's now late morning. And everything seems stable now. I'll talk about that in another blog. It's been one of those headaches, but I found a brilliant little utility that sort of like helped. It's called Device Driver Uninstaller, and it basically gives me a clean install of certain stuff. So I might talk about that at another time. But first of all, we've got to get the news out of the way. And again, like I say, I haven't had time to look, but I always date stamp this with the news. So the best way to do it really is to go to media playback, and you can see what I normally write down as a brief. You can read it with me. So the Independent has said, Ukraine-Russia war latest. Zelensky warns Putin is planning fresh ground invasion as Moscow's troops gather on Sumy border. Zelensky's comments come after he joined 29 other world leaders for a meeting hosted by Starmer. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky has warned Moscow could be planning a fresh ground assault in Ukraine's Sumy region, despite growing international pressure for Putin to agree to a ceasefire. The Ukrainian president claimed that Russia is amassing troops across the border from the northeast region, indicating that they are planning renewed attacks amid ceasefire talks. His warnings were echoed by Andriy Kovalenko, a Ukrainian military chief, who wrote on Telegraph that Putin is trying to delay the ceasefire and is preparing for more active actions in the border region of Sumy. We are also observing directions along our eastern borders of Ukraine where the Russian army is building up forces, Mr. Zelensky wrote on X. This indicates an intention to attack our Sumy region. We are aware of this and will counter it. I would like all partners to understand exactly what Putin is planning, what he is preparing for, and what he will be ignoring. The development comes as world leaders urge Putin to accept the US President Donald Trump's proposal for a 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine. Mr. Putin said on Thursday that he supported the proposal in principle, but that Russia would fight on until crucial conditions were worked out. So, yes, you know what I think about this war. I just want it to end. I think both sides are both agreeing, look, while we're working on a ceasefire, we'll just continue. This isn't really any news to me in regards to Putin. If he believes in principle that a ceasefire can happen, he's already stated, oh yeah, but I'll continue the war until that happens. Which is why I think the 30-day ceasefire from Trump is a bloody good idea, because he wants to get that, and I believe it's not happened yet. I haven't read all of the news. The minerals agreement hasn't been signed yet. Zelensky has basically said that he'd like to meet with Trump again. God knows when that's going to happen. I don't know what the delay is there. But, you know, we've got to get these things moving faster. And even Starmer has tried to speed things up by having what they call virtual talks, which is, I think, team talks with all of the ministers across Europe including Zelensky. So that's one way of doing it, and it sped things up. But why this other delays are occurring all seems to be geographical and what people's agendas are in other things that they need to do in a matter of state. So yeah, what can we say about that? So we'll go back to media playback where I do this, and I'll just put in UK news this week and see whether we can get anything. So nothing really there. A lot of boring pictures. No. BBC, weather, independent. UK is set to be hotter than Istanbul next week. Bloody hell, that's good, isn't it? Usually the BBC has a good standing. Yeah, but it says Arctic air brings cold snap to UK. Yeah, we've had some frost over the last couple of days. There's a little map. Look at that. We're always in the bloody blue. That's all I can say on that. See if I read. No, it doesn't bring up anything new. Let's put BBC UK news for the week. Usually it comes up with much better than this. NHS England chair warns the buck now stops with ministers. Oh, God. Absolutely awful. Don't seem to be finding much here. Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. That's a little bit better. Let's have a look at this. Plan to freeze key disability benefit may be dropped. Well, that's about bloody time. That's a no-brainer. I've never liked the fact that people can fool with people with saying they've got a disability when they don't. But for those people that do, it's bloody difficult. And I do know that the previous government tried to force the issue by saying, if it's over a certain period of time, you're going to go into work regardless. So let's hope that sort of like gets sorted. Playground appeal. I feel sick at the prospect of welfare cuts. I go military planning to begin in Ukraine. The blaze in Belfast is being treated as arson. Wow. I like some of these nice stories. Look, I battered anorexia. Now I'm a fitness coach. I wonder, however, how much of an emphasis that actually encourages people. Exercise for your mental health, not looks. Yeah, I agree. Mental health needs to be sort of like sorted out. My mental health has been pretty difficult during this difficult time for me. Murder charges after mum shot dead at block of flats. My God. Man appears at court after two women stabbed in Downpatrick. That's in Northern Ireland. Rail disruption expected due to engineering works. Always seems to be a common one that I get all week. when I'm looking at these. Man died after deliberately crashing into a coach. Why the hell did he try to do that? Charity shop closure means town losing safe space. All this high street stuff, it's bloody terrible, really. Yes, it's been St. Patrick's Day this week. There's been lots and lots of St. Patrick stuff events going on. The BBC had a big thing on the music of Ireland on Friday and yesterday. About Stammer, pictures of Scotland, lunar eclipses. Yes, we've had lots and lots of astronomy because of the special year we're in, where with the planets aligning. Yeah, I've been following that quite a lot because I've been thinking about getting a telescope. Lockdown inspires Britain's Got Talent guitarist. Bloody hell. Would you live in Vaccine Avenue or Virology Grove? Anyhow. Tributes to the dead mother. Father sentenced to 20 years for murder of infant son. Yeah, now look at. I mean, I don't want to say anything about looks and so forth because it's got nothing to do with it. But anyhow, if what's the conditions in regards to this murder of an infant son? What drives you to the point? I've always looked at these reports and been horrified. And then when they go to court, I've listened to some of the stuff that's mentioned, in regards to they didn't do it, they didn't shake, all of this sort of stuff, and then all of the injuries that the babies had and all of that. And it always comes out that they were driven to a point, with a screaming baby that they could take it no more. And it's always down to no assistance. And then I look at the closing of budgets for nursing care and so forth. But which, regardless, father sentenced to 20 years. Yeah, you killed an infant. Doesn't matter what age it was an infant. It was your own flesh and blood. You should feel, it just makes me mad, really, thinking about it. Blood moon eclipse on Friday, but views to be limited. So this is going back, you see. We're only at Friday. Yeah. Anyway, that's some news. So we'll go back to camera and just talk a little bit about my mother. Because we've got the news out the way. You've got a feeling of what's going on. I don't think there were any deaths. All of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's been a difficult week for me. Not been able to do much on YouTube. But what happened on Monday and all this week is I've travelled to the hospital every day. Always taking something for my mother, a newspaper, a packet of custard creams, something like that. We took her glasses that we didn't have. And let me think. My sister and I, we always met up and we'd always ask the nurse any news, what she had. And around Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, where she was in the emergency assessing unit, she's sort of a temporary unit next to accident and emergency. They said she had a CT scan and a memory test. All of that was mentioned, I think, in my update. No further real great information given to us. Every time I went to see my mum, I said that I was off because I have to go back to work and all of that sort of stuff. She thought she was coming with me. As the days have gone on, she's thought that hospital is home, which is a disturbing aspect. But she needed to be there each time that she wanted to come home. She thought that her husband, my dad, was picking her up, and he's been dead for 8 or 9 years, which is another thing that disturbs me and hurt me. But while all of that was going on, each night, if I didn't have my sleep deprivation, I managed to get some big things done. My sister couldn't get my brother-in-law, her husband, to help because he's on nights. So I, with my sciatica and my bad knee, have had to try and get the bed downstairs. Now, it took a good 3 hours, and it was done over a couple of days. But I managed to get the mattress down, which was a little bit more manageable because it's more palatable, more bendable. So I managed to put it on into an end and then move it around and then put it flat, against its side and slide it down the stairs, because the stairs have got angles. It's not going straight up. It bends round to the right and then up to the top layer. So, of course, I've had to lift it up and then down to go through a lip, because there's a ceiling that's angled, and get it down the stairs, past a bureau that we've got in the hallway, bending it round again, putting it on its side, pushing it along until I got it into the living room. And then it was the same with the base, but the base was much harder. First of all, it's not a pine base or anything. It's one of those ones with drawers. So it's pretty much got, a bulky whole base. And the headboard needed to be unscrewed. And when I was unscrewing it, of course, part of the plastic, which is because it's got a big plastic sort of like washer, snapped off. So now it can go through, which means it's not going to hold the wood correctly. But I fixed that with basically some card, very thick card, so that when you screw it, the card kept it against the wood, giving it a firm place. But that's a little bit later. So I was taking the headboard off, took the base downstairs, took the headboard downstairs, and then assembled the headboard. The next thing I thought about is that all of the hospital beds have got what they call a rubber lining bottom for people that are incontinent. And of course, my mum's mobility is bad, so she has to wear what my sister calls, and she does it in jest, but we don't know quite what to call them. They're pads, but she calls them pee pants. And I had to get those on the Saturday, if you remember rightly. It's what part of the ambulance crew asked me to get when they were taking her to the hospital. But I brought those back from the hospital to the house, and I bought a rubber sheet. And the rubber sheet is a fitted one, so that was easy. And the next issue was, how do you use the washing machine and dryer? I found the manual for it, so that was okay. I worked it out, I put most of the wash on a 30 or 40 degree cycle for about an hour, and I think it's 25 minutes. It's sort of like set at 1,200 revolutions, 1,200 RPM. So it's going quite fast. And I washed my mother's clothes that they gave me back from the hospital, because obviously they were soiled and so forth. They stank like nothing that I'd ever smelt before. Put the sheet in, put the duvet cover in, and washed it twice. It came out smelling quite nice. Next thing was the dryer. Now the dryer's got dial, and it's got all these numbers on the left. It doesn't tell me whether that is seconds or heat or whatever. So I've been doing it incrementally to find out which way is the arrow, because the arrow's worn off. It seems that the best one is 70, and I didn't know if that meant 70 minutes or 70 degrees. So I put it at 70, and when it stopped, it was sort of like still damp, so I just put it in again for a second time. It stopped. It wouldn't let me do it the second time. Couldn't understand why, but there was a little light that said water. I looked around and I found it. Now, where you would normally put on a washing machine detergents, you know, like soap powder and stuff. It's got one on this, and I thought, why? You're not going to put any detergent in this. I pulled it out. It's a great big massive water bottle. So of course, when you're drying things, there's a condenser, isn't there? And of course that sucks up all the water that it's taking out from the clothes. So of course it had filled up. There was 5 kilos of water in there. So I had to pull the thing out without spilling it, trying to get through the garage, through the hallway, to the sink and empty all the water. As soon as I put it back in, it worked. So I put that in, it span round, everything was dry, smelt lovely. And I put the normal clothes in a box for me to do something with later. And I put the sheet on and the duvet cover on. Great, we've now got pillows, sheet and a duvet cover all set. The next thing, ironing. Now again, my mum, who's not been well, has got a friend called Carol, and she's been doing our ironing for us. Now I do my own t-shirts. I don't want my mum to spend money with her friend ironing things other than what's essential, you know, like horrible things like trousers and shirts and stuff. I could do t-shirts. So I took the box from the garage into my room, put the ironing board up, and then ironed my mum's tops and trousers. Made sure she'd got 2 sets so that she could change into those clothes as soon as she gets home, and she's got 2 sets to wear. I ironed a few t-shirts. Here's one that I've got on now. You can see I did an okayish job. I'm not that bad. My God, I'm in my 50s. However, remember, I moved back from Manchester in 2005, so all of this stuff is sort of like only bits do I still do you know, because I'm at home. So I did that, and they're all hung up and they're ready and they're in the living room. And of course, all the living room has had to be rearranged and boxes removed, and you know, and get things like the telly ready and stuff. So that's all done. The next thing was the kettle. Remove the kettle, put a new Brita type kettle, which only pours water for a cup. So my mum doesn't have to lift up a big jug kettle. Now, I bought this a while ago and never put it on the counter because my mum said she liked the kettle. But now that she's got less mobility, we now have the one permanently in place where you just press the button and it uses Brita filters for better water. Absolutely marvellous. Fantastic device, you know. Probably one of the best things we've got in the kitchen. Until Mainmeister and I had a chat on a Friday before saying how good an air fryer was. And my sister and I were talking, said she can't have processed food again, you know, all that frozen bollock crap that I've been buying. And because I make the odd shepherd's pie and potato bake, but to be quite honest, what mostly happens is I go to the freezer, find a hot pot, put it in the oven, give it my mum, and she eats it. Otherwise, my mum used to just get her own food. She used to go into the kitchen and cut off huge chunks of cheese with some crackers and just eat that and say, there you are, I've had a meal, which isn't good enough. So, thank you, Mainmeister. I then spent an awful lot of money on an air fryer. Well, I think it's a lot of money. £148.99 for a Ninja Fuji 9-in-1 fryer, you know, air fryer. It's got a steamer, so it's not the drawer type. It's a big pot, huge thing. So I bought that and a few utensils. So I bought a silicon wrap, they call it, and I thought, what do you want that for? And I soon found out why. Bloody pots are hot when you pull them out. The silicon thing means you can take it out. Anyway, bought a roasting tin and all sorts of stuff, and started looking at YouTube about recipes, you know, how to make a cheese and ham toasty, how to make chips, cooking meat, sausages, burgers, steaks, how to make a cottage pie in an air fryer. That was an interesting one. How you actually put the steamer lid on when it's got an air frying lid. Yeah, that was interesting because this has got 2 lids. Unlike a normal fryer with drawers, which just basically air fry and grill and all the rest of it, this thing's got a steamer. So you can steam a whole chicken and it'll do it in half the time of an oven. This thing is supposed to help me get something for my mum quick and fresh food. I bought some seasoning, rock salt, black pepper, a little bit of olive oil, some chicken breasts, all sorts of stuff. And it's all ready to go. One thing I will say about an air fryer, and this is absolutely bloody terrible of the manufacturers, I don't give a shit whether I actually sound them out. You have got a 1.5 foot cable coming out of this air fryer. Where the hell can I put? I've got no plugs and you can't use extension cables. So I put this into Google and it came up. Everybody complains about it. This lead is too short. And they said, bugger you with extension cables. Some big electrician turned round and said, you need to buy an air conditioning short extension cable or heavy duty extension cable of the shortest length you can get. And what he means by that is a 15 amp plug with a 1800 watt cable, you know, that will take 1800 watts because this is a bloody air fryer. Found one, 16 quid, bloody expensive. But this is for my mum. All of this money, by the way, is coming out of me. I've got no power of attorney or anything like that. I've had to use my savings. So this week, for my mother, spent around £300. Next thing I bought, by the way, an absolute fantastic idea by the nurses. Buy a doorbell, one of the cheap ones that just sticks on the door, and put the chimer in your room and put this doorbell on something, you know, a lanyard, put some sticky stuff on with a lanyard or a piece of wood next to the bed. She's now got a panic alarm button. She wants a cup of tea, she presses it, the door chime comes into your room. Fantastic. What a great idea. Found out that the doorbell ones didn't quite work because of the length of distance. They're not Wi-Fi or anything. They're very short distance, like Bluetooth things. But they do make them for community care called a panic button. And what these do is they connect to the Wi-Fi. Does exactly like the doorbell thing, only you get a lanyard and a wristwatch. It also connects to your Wi-Fi, which means it can connect to your phone. And every time it's pressed, the app will pick up that the button has been pressed. So now I've got a door chime and I've got an app on my phone and a button that my mum can press. Fantastic. Another £25. So yeah, not talking money. I don't give a shit. Just letting you know that these are the absolute massive changes that I've made just in this week. And tonight, this afternoon, I'm going to be making even more when they bring my mother back, and they're bringing a commode and all sorts of other things, a Zimmer frame. Oh, my God. This is why I wanted to get this blog done as soon as I possibly can. And the last thing was yesterday, after taking the paper all week, after taking caramel bars and all that sort of stuff this week, I found out that the echo was done on Friday and the doctor has looked at them and said it's safe to go. But our argument from my sister and I was, we want to know what it says. Tell us, is there concerns? Is there a problem? While I was up with my mother on Saturday, quite late, it was about 5:30, the rugby was on, that's how I know it was quite late. The doctor came out and I asked what the echo said, and she said the echo sort of gave a good and bad impression, and what she meant by that was that the echo scan, which does the heart, the left ventricle is fine. Okay. So it's pumping blood and it's going round and all of that sort of stuff. But the right ventricle does have a leak. And I wondered what that meant. What do you mean a leak? And she said, well, the blood flows around and the right ventricle does a slightly different job, but it's actually the blood is going back into the heart without going back round the body, which is a slight concern, but is something that happens to everybody when they get older. So they don't have a concern about it because it's a small leak and it's a small injection of the same blood that's just come out going back into the heart, which means it's not clean, but it's so small it's not a concern. I went, okay. So then I asked, nobody has really given us an idea of what the memory problem is, whether it's going to come back. And she scared me a little. She said the CT scan has been done twice, the first time when she came in, second time after a memory test. The second one proved that there are dead blood cells in the center of the brain, consistent with somebody who's had a stroke. However, they do look like they've been there for a long time, and this sort of gives me that impression that my mother's brain has been getting degradingly worse. Remember, I told her that she couldn't remember what day it was and all of this sort of stuff when she was at home, well before she went into the hospital. So the very nature of it being there for a long time seems to indicate to me that she is coherent. She is cognitive. Her memory is going, but it is coming back because when we've asked questions, have you had visits today? Yes, I have. Who visited you? Oh, my daughter. And so the short-term memory is not as bad as what we thought, and a long-term memory was pretty good when she was here. So we did ask some long-term questions, and that's gotten slightly worse. So there is a degenerative nature towards this. But the stroke bit made sense to me. But they basically said that when she was on the floor, it could have been another stroke, or it could have been, just as my mum said, she was tired, she collapsed, whatever. And the mobility has therefore been affected as well as the memory. So she's not lost any droopiness in her face. Her talking is perfectly fine. She gets tired quickly. Her hands shake slightly more than they did, which means that she might not be able to use a walking stick and might need to use a Zimmer frame, which is going to be difficult on carpet. All of these things I've had to accept this week, but I've been exceptionally gifted with comments this week, with best wishes. Let's read out the shout-outs, shall we? They are from Denny, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, Steve's Gaming, Frank Holder, Laura, Muckman Movies, Down the Rabbit Hole, Martroid, Raisin Gan 84, Colin Jones, aka Ponder, Ruse C6E, Tony York, Wee Bob Art, Gan's Teeth, and that's just the blog. Then you've got the update, which has got the same people wishing my mum well in my mum's update, plus Stephen Moles, Andy Likes Stuff, Carl Todd, Sam Smitherman, Saul, is that Smitherman, Colin Thompson, Through the Lens. And I did look, and my good friend Playtendo guy also wished me well in my own Discord, even though it's not on the blog, which means I hope he's looked at the blog. But he is a very busy person, as in a lot of other people. I could mention a lot of people's names that are not here. We all live our lives. No problems there. So that's the shout outs. But what it actually means is I've got very little else to say other than talk about the comments that are there, and most of them are going to say thank you to your mum, to my mum, which is absolutely appreciative. I don't know whether there's going to be any questions there. I'm hoping that my brain is going to be able to take it all on. I'm going to attempt it. I'm just going to basically now just check, make sure I've got no text, make sure I've got a drink in my hand, and then I'm going to come back and we'll continue with the comments. Let's hope it's going to be a nice little hour with some fun. because I'm sorry to say it's been a bit of a sad one. You can imagine how I've been. It's been awful. But I do anything for my mum. As everybody out there with you guys, you'll do anything for family. It's just a no-brainer. One last thing about work. Work has been quite good. Not the best, but quite good. The work I've been given was always going to be taken away this week because, as I told you, my task manager has moved, who is a contractor, has left and come back, but joined another team, and he's taken everything that he taught me with him, all the spreadsheets, which mean I'm left in the dark. What do I do? Got no direction. So I've had to do reading of what I used to do and look at other dashboards and see if I can diminish the numbers down, which has been good because it means that nobody is throwing stuff at me and say, do this and we need it done by today, because I've needed to concentrate on my mother, getting to the hospital, seeing her for a good couple of hours, which you can't do in your lunchtime, And I've also had to get my walks in and the shopping done. So work have been quite good. And we've always put in place that I'm going to have something called custody care allowance, which basically means I'm allowed up to 5 days off. I don't think it's good enough, 5 days. You've got a major change where you've got a mother and she needs to be sat with for hours and so forth. How can I do that when I'm at work? However, that is what you get if it's compassionate leave, when you have somebody that dies. Again, it's a week, but it's manager approval to be extended. There is no extension on a carer. So yeah, 5 days. And I haven't been known when to start it. It's when my mum leaves. There's no point starting it when she's in hospital. So this is why we've been screaming, when is my mum coming out? When is my mum coming out? Now that we know, I can put my laptop on this afternoon and send a quick email saying my compassionate leave starts now. And I was going to have 2 days off to do my car. Now, my car still needs to be done. Somehow this week I've got to get my sister here to look after my mum while I go and get my car MOT'd. That'll be a couple of hours. And it'll have to be done early in the morning. So I'll tell the nurse this, because I'm going to need to leave here at 7:45 in the morning, which means I'm going to need a visit before, someone here before I go. That's going to be a struggle. But it needs to be done. So those 2 days I cancelled that were going to be off for this week, which was to get the car done. And I'm going to turn those into half days for the following week after the carer leave, so that I've got time with my mum and I can finish off a routine that's going to work for a full day's work. And they've told me not to worry about travelling to Bicester the one day. This is a big change in my life. It'll be okay. Brilliant. So, we're just going to carry on as best we can. Like I say, when I come back, I will be doing the comments. So just give me a minute. Just going to check some things and it will be like a flash to you. And we're back. The phone is on. The sound is on, just in case anything comes through. Bound sure to happen. But let's get into comments. I'm opening up now. A lot of the stuff will be in here, won't have questions, I don't think. I did mention in my mother's update that I hoped I got some, but I do understand if there isn't much here. So it might be quite short, I don't know, but these are in no particular order. We've got Ian Hill, The Ramblings, and it says, "Hi, Delboy, hope this comment doesn't disappear. Anyway, I hope you and your mum are having a bit better time. It's been so difficult for both of you. I wish you both more settled times ahead. Try and enjoy each day as best you can. Just sharing time together can be so important." So right, and that's exactly. And it's going to be that balance between work, YouTube, and that I've got to do. Gone will be the stuff I'll be able to do in the living room now that there's a bed in there, so I've got no table. so I can't do some of the model work, but I'll work on something. It's stuff that is less important. It's my mum that's important. Despite everything, I thought you were great on our live chat on Wednesday. I was happy knowing just for a few hours you had some respite from your situation and you could escape for a short time. A Del Boy rant and that composer you mentioned every week, you did make me laugh, which I know was your intention exactly. He knows now. I'm pretty sure after, 48 now we've done, that we do it. And of course it's 8 o'clock and that's after the visiting hours. So it was really good to walk back, relax a little bit. We try to keep the time down. It's difficult. We go off on tangents. That's what you do in a pub. Can't expect it. It's a pub type discussion. Nothing other than, if you want a quick look up of something on your phone, you can do it. But otherwise, it's your memory. This is what I hope will keep my memory sharp for a bit. And he's such a great guy. Can't say more than that. He's helped me out no end. Just having that one definitive time that I can look forward to and spend some time with a friend. Absolutely marvellous. Today, Heretic 2024 on Blu-ray has arrived. I loved the film and hadn't realised it had a physical release. It was one of my favourite films from last year. It could be described as elevated horror. Lots more philosophy and religion before the horror. Hugh Grant was amazing. It was the best role I've seen him in. It was right up my street. Brilliant, matey. It has a physical release. I've ordered the 4K, but mine's a steelbook, so I think it comes out later than the Blu-ray. But absolutely fantastic. I saw that at the cinema, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Great to see a horror on the cinema screen. Something that a lot of people and old friends and new friends have told me, difficult getting to the cinema due to our hectic lives at the moment and monetary reasons. I must admit, I paid full whack to see Heretic. This month I've had a cinema ticket, but wow, I've chosen the wrong time to get that cinema ticket, haven't I, with my mum's situation. I used it twice. Saw Captain America, another film I forgot, it eludes me at the moment, and then of course my mum's collapsed, so chances of me going to the cinema, 0. Waste of money, nah, not really. I got to see 2 films that cost me nothing. No, what was it? I think you have to pay a small amount because it's one of those ones that is a discount type card. I think it was $5.99. The card was, I think, $18.99, something like that. So 2 films at $5.99 and an $18.99 card, £29. 2 tickets at $11.99 is 22, 23, 24 quid, 22 quid. So yeah, I've lost 8 quid. Bollocks to it. Who gives a shit? It continues. I watched a film called The Planter's Wife, 1952, set on a rubber plantation, dealing with communist terrorists. It made me think of my dad, who in 1946 did his national service in Malaysia and Singapore. He told me a lot of stories about the times there. Fortunately, his time finished before the uprising got really going. It was going to be called White Blood, but for a colonial film, though, it's a reference to rubber. It could be deemed offensive, so maybe things haven't really changed with people taking offence nowadays. I've had a lot better week, though. Of course, I'm still complaining about the cold. So my question this week is the one I asked last week, which, by the way, disappeared. No idea why. What is your favourite scenic place in this country, including Scotland and Wales? Oh, wow. When I think about my holidays, we've been to Wales. I loved going to Barry Island and Cardiff, and I've loved the Brecon countryside. So that's south part of Wales. But I've also been to the furthest north. I've been to Bangor and Port Merion. Oh, that was gorgeous. Bloody cold up there, gorgeous. When you're travelling across the top of Wales, coming in from England, it's got full of black slack type hills where coal is. Looks beautiful because I went in the autumn and there was all orange, sort of like leaves on the trees, and it was quite wet and misty, so it gave that sort of like Wuthering Heights type of effect, of the countryside, the mist rolling in and all of that sort of stuff, the moors, Sherlock Holmes type thing. So that's lovely. But the countryside that I've been around has been Oxfordshire, so it's been absolutely wonderful. You got the Cotswolds, the Model Village, you've got the Rollright Stones, you've got so much beauty, with all the canals. And I've walked along a lot of them, taken a lot of pictures of them, and I wish I could go to Scotland. I'd love that, I've seen the pictures of my friend Alan, who's got a channel called Mainmeister, and he's taken some lovely pictures in colour and black and white. I love the black and white ones the most. They give that definition that you just don't get with colour. It's all the light and shadow with black and white, which is why I think some suspense and science fiction stuff is so much better in black and white. I watched some of the black and white Doctor Who's. I watched some of the black and white science fiction films like The Day the Earth Stood Still and so forth, and they look just so lovely in black and white. The Quatermass and the Pit, gorgeous black and white. The Outer Limits, Twilight Zones, so much better. Colour, it's okay, nothing wrong with it. It's just that the light and shadow that you get, it's just amazing. Which is why I'm a big fan of all film and cinema, whether it be silent, black and white, all of that. I can put my mindset back. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent again, aren't I? Countryside. I lived in Manchester, so I've been around the Pennines. Beautiful again. My remembrance of Manchester was mostly rain, believe it or not. Didn't see too much snow in the 7 years I was there. Don't remember it. Bloody cold. I remember the frosts. Wow. So much colder than here. Which is strange, because you'd think that a flat plain, an openness, would give you that deep frost compared to hills and enclosed environments, which might not be quite so cold. But I tell you what, I felt cold when I was in Manchester. My God, I did. Thank God for the heating that I had up there. I had a good house, modern stuff in it. It's quite good. Double glazing and everything. I'm so lucky. I think that's it, really. You say Scotland and Wales, you see. I haven't been to Scotland. I could talk about Wales. The most beautiful countryside? I think most people will always say home is the most beautiful. But I tell you what, close to it, America. When I went to Death Valley, when I went to the Grand Canyon, when I drove from New York to California and went all the way across through Ohio and Pennsylvania and through the Rocky Mountains, just avoided that slightly. Texas, eventually getting to California. Brilliant. It's so open, so dusty, but with a convertible car, so beautiful. Took no end of photographs. California is so unique. With its lowest and highest point means that you're in the hottest place and you're in one of the coldest places. Because I drove for 2 hours east from the west coast of California, and I got to a place called Bishop, and they put snow chains on my tires, and it suddenly started snowing with an open top. I didn't put the top up, And then when I drove through Bishop and got over the other side, I was going down a hill. It got bloody hot again. They had to take the snow chains off at the outskirts of where I was when I was leaving. So, my God, they gave you these free snow chains. I didn't even pay for them. They just put them on. And then when you left, somebody took them off. Marvellous system. Must cost the state quite a bit of money, I would have thought. But, hey, lovely memories. I've been to El Capitan. Wow. Yosemite Park. The Mammoth Lakes. Yeah. So many memories. Such good stuff. But I think I concluded Scotland and Wales. Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you so much. We moved down to Martroyd. He said, sorry to hear about your poor mum's collapse, Del. You are both in my thoughts. Take care. Thank you so much. There's going to be a lot of these. Thank you so much. Salute. Muckman Movies. Hi, Del Boy. Sorry to hear about your mum. She's in the best place. I hope she recovers swiftly. Nice selection for your dinner party. I particularly like your choices of your dad and Muhammad Ali. Yeah, thank you. And I think it was a no-brainer for my dad, and it was a no-brainer for Muhammad Ali. Everybody knows that's my sporting hero, and my dad is my hero. He would have loved to have had more sporting people. He'd have had Alan Mint around there. He'd have had Sebastian Coe. He'd have had a Daley Thompson. Ovett he'd have had there. He'd have had racing heroes, Lester Piggott. He'd have had, everybody, you know what I mean? Lovely memories. Thank you so much for giving me such an interesting question, man. Brilliant. One from RaisinGat84. He said, hope things go well for you and your mum and family, Del. Enjoyed my comment being read out. Of course, I read the comments. You put a comment down, you're going to get mentioned. I know you mention all comments, but your blog is part of my Sunday routine and was nice hearing it read out this week. My pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. As for the Japanese films, if you had to pick one of these I mentioned, it would be Battle Royal. Not only does it feature Beat Takeshi, a staple of so many classic 80s and 90s films, but also Chiaki Kuriyama, who went on to star in Kill Bill as Gogo Yubari. It had also had a massive influence on popular culture, playing a big part in the likes of games, PUBG and Fortnite, as well as the Hunger Games. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I must get into more foreign cinema, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, French, all sorts. You talked about Godzilla -1, which was excellent and shows that the Godzilla series is still popular. Godzilla vs. Biollante, is that right? Biollante? Is getting a 4K release via Criterion on the 24th of March. Not far now. And although it's the 17th of the Japanese series of films, it's one of the better ones, and you could jump in and not be lost. Very good idea. And I'm very jealous of my friend Denny. He bought a big, massive Godzilla set that cost a lot of money back then, but now it's astronomical on eBay. I think it was an Arrow set or a Criterion set, not quite sure. He showed it me once. It was huge. And I haven't got that set. But I do have a lot of Godzilla. And I have a lot of King Kong. I've got all the modern ones. And I've got the very early King Kong stuff, Son of King Kong and all of that. But there's a big gap in the middle for me to fill. And this is where a collector gets excited. Because I could alter my stance at any point and say, stuff steelbooks, go here. And start to collect slowly. And then replace with higher versions of it. This is the collector's dream. This is where people like you, Razengan, help me. Because you told me jumping on points and you told me about things I didn't know, etc., etc. Now, Kill Bill I've got, and that's coming out on 4K as a 2 Kill Bill set, Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2. I will know that character. But Battle Royale, I will, now that I've got it permanently written down as a comment, you see, I can come back here and go, what was that film? Oh, yeah. Go here, order it, bang. See? I'm up to speed. We get to Denny now. War and Peace here coming up. I better take a sip, hadn't I? What's the time? Oh, okay. He thought, hiya, mate. Firstly, I've been thinking of you all week. We all appreciate your mother is quite poorly at the moment, but please look after yourself too and rest up when you can. Yeah, sleep has been worse. Do what I can. Another week and another boring and sterile, non-fun week. I had a health and safety course on Monday to Wednesday, but I just couldn't find the effort or energy to enjoy it. Felt quite deflated after the test, even though I passed it. Thursday was a trip to the doctor for a blood test. Basically, my joints are causing me a lot of pain. The doctor is looking for lack of vitamin D, even though I know it's the Rampril tablets for my blood pressure. If you get the chance, my TV recommendations this week to view are, please take note of these, they're not just for me, they're for everybody. Dope Thief, a series on Apple TV from Ridley Scott. Well, you've got my attention now, Ridley Scott. From Ridley Scott and Paradise on Disney+. BBC iPlayer have the latest Welsh production called The One That Got Away. It's in the same vein as Hinterland and Hidden. Watched Sisu last night. What a film. A highlight for the week has to be a video Ian put out regarding collecting. Love the Ladybird books. Yes, this was his chat on history, by the way, which I'll talk about later. Books and news cuttings. One of the cuttings was about 9/11. A very sad day indeed. And not one I'll forget, as I was born 9/11 in the 60s. So you got two 9/11 dates, the 9/11 event and the 9/11 in the 60s. Yeah. So my friend, not much to add this week, but please look after yourself and send my best wishes to your mother. By the way, every single one I have done. She doesn't recognize the names, by the way, but I just said, Mum, you've got so many get well cards, so many well wishes. My God, I'm not going to get anywhere near this. This just shows how good you've been through all the years. And she said, oh, okay. Not batting an eyelid. But there you go. Question for this week. What past events to the present in history most stick in your mind? Do you have any personal connection to any event? Take care, my friend. Look after yourself. Oh, wow. Well, 9/11 is an important one. I think everybody remembers where they were 9/11. It happened to me driving home from work in my lunch hour. Remember, there's a time difference. So it was about 1 o'clock. And I was driving along and the radio was saying something about something going on. And it was a gusty, windy day that day. And I couldn't believe what was going on. And I opened the door and the wind gusted the door and it fell out my hands and bent the door frame. But I was still able to shut the door, but I had to get that repaired. I went inside and I saw the pictures of the planes going into the building. And I fed the cat and I was in disbelief. Phoned my dad because I said I need to know a mechanic that can do this, and we agreed for me to go down the motorway on Friday if I can get a day's holiday, and he would get his best friend at the time. I think his name was Booty, or Tony Boove, I think his name was Bootsy, they called him, and we'd get the door sorted, and that happened. And I got a call from my girlfriend, Shalise Chalker. She was alive at the time. And we couldn't believe what we were seeing. By the way, she died a couple of months after that. So a very sad time for me. So that year is looked upon for me as a major event that will always be in my thoughts and memories for two reasons. What else? I mean, I wasn't around for, or should I say, I wasn't coherent enough for that man walking on the moon. I was born, but I was in a pram. You know what I mean? So I ain't going to know anything. I remember decimalization because at the school, we were being taught the value of money, you know, like playing shops. And I remember at one point we were using the old coin system and then we were using the new coin system. So I must have been about 4. Yeah. When that happened, I was going to primary school, sort of like a nursing type thing that you'd have now. Maggie Thatcher coming to power. I remember that. The coal miners strike. I remember that. Lockerbie. I remember that. Hillsborough. I remember all of that. I remember on the news the talk about the Star Wars project, which was Reagan thinking about having missiles in space firing down. I remember that. Whether that was an event or whether it was just a news article on what could be, I'm not sure. Can't remember. Band-Aid and going to the concert. Remember all of that. I don't remember many of the assassinations. It's funny. But I was reading comics and I knew all about certain presidents because they were in the comics. But I remember that when Kennedy was shot, his brother was shot very close to, was it Malcolm X that got shot? It was within days of each other. But I don't remember, I only remember that as a news article until I listened to a documentary about it. I remember the Muhammad Ali fights. So I was sitting with my dad and I was 6 when he got his title back. And I was a bit older, 8, 9, when he got his title for the 3rd time, which was unheard of. I remember Torval and Dean. I remember Daley Thompson's gold medal. So lots and lots of sporting events. The film events I'll do separately, and TV. We've heard all that before from me. Maggie Thatcher leaving number 10. I remember. I remember Labour coming in with Blair. I remember him inviting Oasis to number 10, which was a news article that just sticks in my mind for some reason. I just thought, he's trying to look hip, but he's not. I think that's enough, really. I mean, there's a lot more that I probably remember, but at the moment, I'd have to think deep, and my mind's a bit muddled with my mother at the moment. So I hope that's a good enough one for you, Denny. I think I've spent some time on there. I hope I've given you a good answer. Salute, my friend. You've been a constant support for me. I can't think how many people have been in my life that have supported me. You know, past and present. I'll mention. I don't care. Mention about the past people. Rock God, Nigel was there at some really difficult parts of my life. You have been there, Denny. Ian has been there. Alan, for definite. Steve's Gaming and Rob. What can I say? They've been around me just recently and talking to me lots, along with Martroid. All huge, big people that have talked to me and have helped me. So, you know, have I missed anyone? Keith from Euphoria has been chatting to me. He's been a good support. Like I say, don't want to dwell on people. Everybody has been a major support. I just mentioned the ones that have been big in my life the last couple of years, where it's been pretty drastic for me, to be quite honest. We move forward, look, and we've got Down the Rabbit Hole, and he's put, I hope things turn out best with your mum, Del. I want to say thank you, though. When you described her excuse for ending up on the floor, and you knew well she actually collapsed, it immediately made me think of my mum. She seems incapable of recognising I'm an adult, and she always makes excuses for anything that happens to her because in her mind I can't deal with adult things. I am forever 12 in her mind. If I found my mum on the floor like you did, I'm certain she would give me a similar excuse. And now, thanks to your forward thinking and actions, I will be ready to rebuff my rationalisation she tosses my way. Yes, and it's come to my attention that the ambulance crew look at that as a safeguarding incident. They believe that I shouldn't have picked her up, put her in a chair, and they also think that while I was waiting for my sister to arrive, that I left her, which is no. All lies, all wrong. They've got it written down wrong. Yes, I picked her up because I didn't feel it was... She told me that she got tired and fell asleep. There's no bruising on her. She's got big bruises now. Oh, God, yeah. She collapsed. And I felt her sitting up was better. But the next time, and I don't ever want there to be a next time, you phone the ambulance. They pick them up. So, you know, you live and learn. This is where, if people have had this happen to them before, thinking back just now, what's come to my mind is that Rock God Nigel had a similar thing happen to his dad, I think. He didn't pick her up. He called an ambulance, but he's a medical expert. I should have remembered that at the time it happened. But it's just, like I say, you don't think of these things. You see him on the floor, it's a shock. And this is a diary, by the way, so I'll talk about anything, past people, anything. I've got no problems with discussing all of these. These are things that have happened to me, right or wrong. I've done the right thing or the wrong thing, and I correct myself, you know. And it's a vent at a camera that makes me feel better. Do you see what I mean? So, down the rabbit hole. Whatever happens to you, don't do anything. Phone an ambulance. Simple as that. She could have broken something. You could, you know, doesn't forget the soilness and all of this sort of stuff and the uncomfortableness of it looking like this. Don't move them. And I put my hands up and say, hey, you know, I made a mistake. I didn't know. So there you go. Live and learn. And my mum's perfectly okay. No broken bones, some bruising. So I dodged a bullet, you could say. You know. Thank you very much, Down the Rabbit Hole. You've been a constant support to me as well, and I love your channel. You know that I mention it each week. I only mention stuff that I watch and stuff I enjoy. I do mention the stuff I don't enjoy as well, but very little of that. Your stuff's brilliant, matey. So varied. Great. Thank you so much. Moving on, we got Ross C6E. Very sorry to hear about your mum, Del. Hope things get better for you and your mum. And I've passed all that on to my mum. Thank you very much. Tony York. Oh, you might not know. Salute, by the way, to Ross. You might not know. I have my mini rant with Tony. And it's just a fun thing. Tony is a big supporter of Ian. They're great friends. And Tony is a big collector like me. And he upscales his stuff from DVD to Blu-ray. They get on like a wildfire. Tony and I, we've gotten to know each other. I've explained to Ian, I thought immediately he should be a moderator when we've got a chat going on. Made him a moderator. Brilliant guy. And I take the piss out of him every Wednesday. Every Wednesday I take the piss out of him. It's just one of the things I have to do. We all have that special person that does the nicest of things. So for him, it's sending DVDs to Ian. For me, it's taking the piss out of it. Because I don't have that happen to me. But I don't care. I've got money. I can buy the things I want. But I've had some gifts given me this year. And they have been the joy of this year. The ones that I've received. They are the ones that have kept me thinking that there are people out there like me. I say this and with proudness, I ain't got a bad bone in my body. I wouldn't step on a fly. I get upset. I rant and rave. But you have to get me really royal to do that. And that's why, when bad things happen, I just go, oh, well, swat it away. Move forward. If you enjoy it, carry on. And that comes from Ian and Tony, by the way, that have helped me so much. Don't watch the things that upset you. Move on. Watch the things that you like. Why get upset about something? Why get paranoid about something? Nah. All gone. And my mental health has improved because of it. He says, very sorry to hear of your mum's health problems, Del. Listening to this brought back memories of the similar situation I went through with my own mother 5 years ago. It's not easy. All the best. No, thank you, Tony. Thank you for your support. Keep, please, making people smile, which I know is not needed for me to tell you because you do it instantly. Just like that. That's fine. Salute, my friend. And look at that. Straight underneath, I've got another one. Ian Hill, The Ramblings. My God, look, another Ian Hill. What we got here this time says, I was sorry to hear about your mum. Hope you're coping with all this. I know it can be so difficult. I don't know what happened to my comment. It disappeared. I think it's typical of what's happening this week. Just wanted you to know all my best wishes to you. Hope things get better for you. Thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful. And I have to say salute to him, move on, because we're gonna miss time on this. It's what time have we got to now? We've got another 45 minutes from what I can tell. Wee Bob Art, sorry to hear about your mum and wishing you guys all the best. The sound is definitely better on this video. Right-clicking on YouTube video and getting stats for nerds shows it's at minus 7.5 decibels. So all good on this video for me. I reckon the encoding, changes all of these things because it says on mine minus 1.5. My God. That should be loud. I use Samsung A13, so not a high-end phone by any means. Yes, could be a monophone. So as I said, the differences of a stereo signal being converted to mono probably diminishes this a little bit. Thank you for the various shout-outs during the video for my channel. Very much appreciated. Can't really talk about one for this week though, matey. I didn't see one this week. I looked out for it. I thought it might be yesterday. It didn't come up on my alert. I will look. But I will always mention you if I watch the video. If I watch the video, I mention it. If I don't watch the video, I can't. And time is an aspect as well. But the long ones I listen to over a period of time. The short ones are very, very simple and easy. There's been a lot of YouTube activity to me that I haven't written down because it's been about how to cook things in a foodie fryer and that sort of stuff. You don't need to know about that sort of shit. It's just a given that when you buy something new, you go and look and see what people have said, do, and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, so thank you for the various shout-outs during the video for my channel. Very appreciated. For Denzel Washington movies, The Book of Eli is actually my favourite movie. Can't believe I didn't think about that at the time. But the first one that popped up was Training Day. Yeah. First one that popped into mind wasn't The Book of Eli either. But it instantly came back to me after the first one was thought of. And I went, oh my God. Yeah, how can I not forget that? Brilliant film. Loved it. It's so... I saw that first, not at the cinema, at Sky. And when I saw it on Sky, I went, I've got to order that. And I bought it. Is there a 4K? No, I don't think there is. Definitely not in Steelbook. I have to check. Could be a standard release 4K, not sure. But it's one of those films that, because of its dystopian future, I need to have it. Yeah. Anyway, while watching, listening, I tidied up the house and done various tasks, which leads me to my question. What are your top games which feature DIY or chores? Oh my God. I know Alan would probably answer Power Wash Simulator. Yeah, and I've got that. But you know what? I played it in VR, liked it, and never went back to it. I want to do more of that. Yeah. That's an interesting one. Chores. Earliest one where I did chores. Little Computer People, I suppose, comes to mind, and The Sims. I did play the early Sims. I haven't played it past Sims 2. I never bought Sims 3. I bought Sims 1, Sims 2. I bought Little Computer People. I had that on the Amiga and on the Commodore 64, disc formats. And that's a chore, because you go to record player or make a cup of tea or something, just so you saw the little bod go from upstairs down to downstairs and put the food bowl out for the dog or something. Chore. God knows why we bought that game, The most boring game. It would be listed as one of the most boring games I've ever played. And what did I do? Spent hours on it. Oh, he might die. That was one of the things. They said if you left him for too long, he would die, and I didn't want this character to die, so I kept loading it up. Lying bastards, really. There was a death. It did happen, but yeah, you could have left it. I bet you if I turned it on, my game would be up and running, and it'd look exactly the same as if I'd left him. He wouldn't have a beard. You know what I mean? It was too early in computer logarithms for all of that. AI, which we hate to keep talking about, probably would do that better now. Chores. There's chores in Guild Wars, believe it or not, a role-playing game. You constantly had to keep going back to your house so that you could pick up the free pieces of elements that you needed, like gold and silver and stuff, and then go to the billboard to do a special task and grow your plants for the food and eat them and grow them again and order seeds and water them and all of that sort of stuff. In fact, there was a game I played this year, something Valley, forgot what it is. Another one of those open plan, you cut the grass, you put plants down, you water them. The next day they've grown, you get rid of the weeds, you till the ground. Like Stardew Valley and all of that sort of stuff. They're the chore games that I've played. And a lot of those open plan games have that type of chore in them. Keep replenishing your oxygen, keep getting food, keep building stuff. Get something that gives you bigger amount of oxygen so that you can breathe for longer. Chore. On and on and on. Is there another game like Power Wash Simulator? Wurtherby talked about one called Valet Simulator, where you're a car valet person. That looked like a big chore to me, one I wouldn't want to buy. What a load of shit. Wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Hope that's given you some answers. My brain, like I say, I could probably think of more, but I must move on. There's a lot to do. Salute, my friend. Thank you for being a huge supporter of me. I love your channel. By the way, anybody that wants to learn anything about art, anybody who wants to hear a ramble about TV and film at the moment, he's doing some great stuff, and he's asking as well community questions. Please put your answers to him or do something, to show. Maybe your own supporters would like to hear your thoughts on your own answer to his question. Very good. I love community. It's why I've met such interesting people past and present. Brilliant. Gans Teeth, we moved to. I will definitely be picking up the Pertwee Blu-ray box set. Inferno is also a favourite of mine, an epic story. Sorry to hear about your mum, and I wish her a speedy recovery. Take care of yourself too. Thank you so much. Gans Teeth's been around now for a couple of months for me. He's probably been around for 2 or 3 years, but he started to communicate with me. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your watching and keeping. Salute, and we move on to another friend of mine, Colin Jones, aka Ponder, the bloke who keeps me on the straight and narrow. I get things wrong, he's there going like this at me. Marvellous, you know what I mean? Actually, I've just noticed that I've reset my camera and it's auto-focusing, so just bear with me a minute. I'm going to go to properties. Of course, I'm doing it while I'm recording, so it takes time. Come on. Go to configure video and take off autofocus. Don't need it. I'm in a fixed position. Stupid thing. There we are. No autofocus. Brilliant. Colin's going to turn around and say, you stupid idiot, should have done that before you even started. That's how Colin is. Absolutely marvellous. He says, sorry to hear about your mum. Hope she gets through this quickly. And I'll expand on this one after I finish watching. And here we go, he says. So sorry to hear about your mum. On the positive side, it wasn't a big fall and the infection could be treated. Yes, because I did mention what the infection was. It was CAP, CAP. That's it. Community acquired pneumonia. That's it. I probably forget about that in a month's time. Let's hope the antibiotics take effect quickly and she pulls through and gets home soon. Yes, they soon moved her from the spectrum antibiotics, which covers everything, to a more specific one. And by Wednesday, she'd been on them for over 24 hours. So that was good. Not as fast as I like, but there you go. As for your neighbour, she's the arsehole. The very definition of unreasonable. And the last thing to need on top of your major worries. I hope the fire department gave her a warning for wasting their time. Probably not. I went into the post office on the Monday. I asked who it was. She said she thought it was somebody from round the corner. They thought it was coming from their garden, which is why they went to the post office. And like I say, there's nothing more to say about it. You live and learn. I don't mean to cause a problem. I'd just come back from the hospital, and it was one of the jobs my mum wanted me to do. My dad always told me don't light anything until twilight because of people's washing and causing offence and that sort of thing. Most people are not around at night. This person didn't give me a chance to say I'm going to be putting it out. She wanted to know what was burning and all of this sort of stuff. Then went and phoned the fire brigade when I'd already knew I was going to go and get the hose and put it out. You got to also remember that it's dangerous actually as well to put it out. You're going from a super hot temperature of that inside that incinerator to cold. The metal contracts like this. But hey, I just wanted to make somebody happy, so I stopped it, you know. My favourite sport to watch is actually snooker. It's not much of a sports fan, but I will occasionally watch things like football, rugby, athletics, gymnastics, etc. Some winter sports too, especially the bobsleigh. I can't get on with cricket or golf though. I've enjoyed partaking in both. Definitely not into combat sports such as boxing or wrestling at all. Just not my thing. Yeah, the boxing comes from my dad really. My mum hated it. Oh, they keep punching themselves in the face. Can't have that. And my dad was going, it's a gentleman's sport. They're protecting themselves, blah, blah, blah. My mum had no problem watching the wrestling in the 70s. I think she knew it was pantomime, to be quite honest. But yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. I've never had a boring hobby. If I'm not interested in something, I just won't do it. It's only because it only becomes a hobby when you do something regularly. Yeah, so it might. What you're saying is it was a inverse silly question because you don't have a hobby that's boring. Because you stop. What I will say is, in the early days, you don't know it's boring. you then find it's boring and you stop. That makes that question work. And I have done things like stamp collecting, and I've done... do you remember the Spotter's Guide books? I used to buy those and go out and try and spot a plane or a train or whatever it was. The train one was the most fun because right at the bottom of my uncle's farm, down somewhere called Pewick Lane, there is a train track. So you can go from the hedge, sit on the top of the hedge like the railway children, and just watch the trains go by. Back then, you'd see different types of trains. Now they'd all be all the same intercity crap. But yeah, that was a time. That was interesting. Anyway, sadly, I think the orange one is there for the full term. I just hope it's not longer. Yeah, we know we talk about when we say the orange one. I heard Martroid. That 3D printer is absolutely fantastic, by the way, and it does indeed fit my uses perfectly. I wish I could afford a 3D printer. You've got me now wanting to get one and make my Marvel 3D kits and paint them. It'd be perfect for that. Oh, for the time for me to have 400 quid. Those times are gone. Anyway, our last dog was a spaniel, pointer, cross, and he was lovely. We're getting 2 border collie pups on Friday, which was the reason that question came to mind. Oh, not a problem. I loved answering it. Don't really like talking about ugly dogs, though, or dogs I dislike. All creatures have got loveliness about them and should be loved, really. I really feel sorry for pugs born to live with health issues. A terrible breed, and that's down to human breeding. Yeah, I do realise that now when I mention pugs. They're breathing with their nose and other issues internally. Yeah. Once again, best wishes with regards to your mum, who may be coming home on the day I'm writing this. And that's true, it is. Good to see her sitting up looking absolutely defiant. Yes, I put a couple of pictures up. I didn't want people to be upset. My question this week may be similar to the one I've asked in the past, but what are your favourite movies that were released before you were born? Oh, well, there's the instant one, isn't there? Planet of the Apes. Before I was born. See, now you got to think about years, and I think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and all of that was after I was born, because I think those are early 70s. But if not, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang would be there for definite. Oh, Goldfinger as a Bond film. Got to mention a Bond film, haven't we, if you're a movie person. Science fiction wise, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Brilliant. Before I was born. Let me think. You see, all of the stuff that's great were around about when I was born, like Blazing Saddles. That was around about when I was born. But not before. Oh, The Odd Couple. Yeah. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Some Like It Hot, for definite. All the Laurel and Hardy films. Just clump them in one. Brilliant. Even Harold Lloyd. Same. I liked Buster Keaton, don't get me wrong. And I liked Chaplin. But the ones I mentioned before stick out. Oh, all the Universal monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Invisible Man. Yeah. Bride of Frankenstein in particular. Around the World in 80 Days sticks out. Why does that stick out? Around the World in 80 Days. It's a mad, 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 mad world. That comes to mind. The Apartment. It's amazing how Billy Wilder comes to mind a lot. I think that's enough for now. I've got to move on, but you've got some stuff there. There's a pluffer, matey. Ben-Hur. 10 Commandments. All, as religious ones. Yeah. Thanks very much. Such an interesting question. Wish I had more time to tell you more. Salute, my friend. And we move to the last one, because the others are under my mother's best wishes, and I've mentioned their names. They just say best wishes. There's no questions there. It's from Frank Holder, and he says, sorry to hear about your mum. I wish her all the best, and I hope she gets home with you soon. I have a question for you, and it might sound bad. Oh, okay. But honestly, I do not mean to offend you at all. But I hear you saying in many episodes that this is for your nieces and nephews, because it is. My question, again, no offence intended. Don't worry, you've made it loud and clear, no offence, not a problem. Is that, do you think that your nephew and nieces really care? Do you think they would watch? I ask because I have a nephew, and even though we spend time together a lot, he doesn't give a fig about things I like, and has no interest in anything I'm interested in. So I know if I did a blog, he wouldn't even bother looking at it. Understand. I did answer, and I might have something extra to add. So I'm going to answer in text. I'm going to read out what I wrote in text, because I wanted to give you an instant answer. But I'm going to elaborate on it. It says, thanks, Frank. I will just answer this quickly, but will also read it out as promised. My answer is, you can only hope, end quotes. I mean, do any of us really know what the future holds or how people will care about us? I know my nephew lives abroad right now, and before he went over there, we had a good relationship. I also know my niece fairly well, but lives in a different town city. My blog is an experiment. It will also tell them what I have in my collection. It will be for them to decide what they want to keep, but at least they will know some value to it. It's all I can say, my friend. So let me elaborate a little bit more. Everything you mentioned in your comment was current. He doesn't give a fig now. When you die, things change. And it did for me when my dad died. Is he going to start thinking about you? Is he going to be thinking, I dismissed what he liked at the time that I was living? Maybe I dismissed it too quickly. Am I going to want to remember him or her? Do I want to know what was going on in his life and his time at the time that he died? Do I want to even watch? Is a question that you've got. And my hope is that they will. It's an experiment. It's just there. The passwords to my accounts will be given to them when I die. They'll be in my will. YouTube will keep it open for a year. If they don't log in, everything will be lost. And I'll be gone. But I gave them an outlet on something that they could see. And that's my only hope. And that's it, really. So there was no offence. It's very easy. You mustn't look at things now. You must think how things change when you're gone. And the best thing I can ask you to do is watch It's a Wonderful Life. Because it tells you, live for now. But it also tells you how people think when you die. You know, how many films have we seen where they're at the graveside, they're crying? Then they talk afterwards about how wonderful the guy was or how bad the guy was or the girl, etc., etc. And then they keep cropping up in conversations. But eventually they disappear out of those conversations because it's out of sight, out of mind. And my video is to keep that conversation going if I can. I don't want to be an afterthought. But there you go. That's that. Thank you so much. I need to get a new can. Look, I drank it. It is now 1 o'clock. I've got half an hour to get through the rest. Give me a minute to get a can. I will be back. Thank you so much for this.
And we're back. Watched on YouTube. As you know, we got new settings. And by the way, got my drink. And it's been a week where I haven't been able to watch much. If falling asleep, all of that still carries on. But I've tried to watch as much as I could, and here we go. Watched on YouTube. This Week in Retro and Techmoan and Gadget Show is now my staple point. Techmoan is still ill. I worry for him a little bit. I hope he comes back soon, but his production values are so high that he also has to edit an awful lot, and I know what that's like. From my early work, this stuff is now lazy. You know, I'm clicking a button that says overhead cam. I'm clicking a button that says media playback, game capture. You know, it's very simple. It's not edited. It's all in one flow. The hardest thing I do is pause. You know, I mean, it's nothing. So that's why you don't get that disjointed bit that you see when people go, and when they're saying a sentence, even it's disjointing. So I try and keep it as natural as possible. All the bad bits are in it. There's no old blooper reel. Maybe I should think about that. Have it as an end of year thing. But this week in retro, so we had Next Up Round 3, Before They Were Famous and Reclaimed Acclaim. Interesting subjects this week. It seems to be very Spectrum heavy at the moment, but Next Up Round 3 is really talking about the Spectrum Next Round 3 Kickstarter. We know about that. It's a great system. If you're a big Spectrum fan, I suppose it's a must. Interesting. Acclaim, thinking back at the Acclaim games that were around, and then, you know, them going and then coming back, it would seem. And before they were famous, prototypes. I like when people talk about prototypes. We never saw them, so it's quite good, like that. The Gadget Show this week was Season 3, Episode 5, Mobile Madness, Apple's Air Y updated. Yeah, they updated about the Air Y for the Apple, but the Mobile Madness was based on shows that they've been to, the modern phones that are coming up that are the big ones, not Samsung, not Apple, you know. Some of their stuff, so innovative, half the price of these big ones. And yet, everything, I'll tell you what, the thing that annoys me the most about mobile phones, and it's even with these ones that were talked about in the Gadget Show, I'll just quickly mention it, it's all about the camera. Everything about the camera. If the camera's not right, you ain't going to buy it. These ones had some interesting things where you can actually put camera mounts on them and use the lenses that you'd use on an SLR. I mean, interesting stuff, but my God, how heavy would that be with that lens on it? I just thought about that. And of course, there are ones where you buy the lenses, you know, they're the lightweight ones that are made for that camera. But my God, sticking a SLR lens on, you can imagine sticking on one of the pro lenses, the grey ones that Canon make, the professionals use with its stabilizing stuff on it. The sensor that you would need in that phone, my God, it would be the same type of sensor you would need in an SLR, I would have thought. Maybe they found a way around it. I didn't really pay that much attention to whether that was there. They did talk about sensors, I remember that. But my God, yeah, that was interesting because of that, photography and that. Cheap versus expensive this week was pizza ovens. Not really my sort of thing. I haven't got a pizza oven outside in the garden. Christ, I had an incinerator out there and they didn't like the smoke coming out of that. What would they be like with me leaving a pizza out there for a while? Anyway, cheap versus expensive, quite interesting. You don't have to want to have a pizza oven. You can just look at it and have fun with it. So that was quite good. Next stuff. Nexus cards. Yes, I've been thinking about my trading cards an awful lot. Don't know why. My brain suddenly went to, do you know what I used to love in the 90s? I used to love trading cards. The trading cards that were non-sports cards and the stuff that we could buy. Now, in Britain, we used to have these in newsagents or hobbyist shops. They were never in supermarkets that I remember, apart from football cards and stickers. But I had great enjoyment buying boxes of them. So I'd buy a box rather than a packet, and try and get a full set. Doubles never really came into it. I've still got all my doubles, I think. I tried to weed them out. And it's found out now that they grade these things now. They were never cut very well. You know, when they used to use a guillotine to cut them, they were always cut wrong. They needed to be dead square, and you can now send them off to be graded, and they have to be perfectly square to get a 9.9 or something. I dare say I might have some really high collectible ones. Would anybody like to see my trading cards? I don't know. Never really thought about it. I think I brought it up once in a blog. But it's brought to mind. So Nexus Cards did the rarest Marvel card set ever printed, which happened to be the 1996 Marvel set. I think I've got those because I think I stopped collecting cards when I moved to Manchester. So that would have been 1998, 1999. Boxes of cards then were in the £70 a box type range. Now they're $300 and you get half the cards. You get 12 packs, 4 cards in a pack, something like that. We used to get 8 cards, 36 packs, you know, when we bought a £70 box. But you move on, expense, money, collecting, raises the price value. Now you'd be lucky to get a base set. You know what I mean? I think most people buy a box at $300, then go on eBay and buy the ones that are missing. You know, for the base set, and any collectibles that you might have missed, the odd one, and stuff the fact of getting them all. And that's what annoys me, because the whole point was to try and get them all. You're never going to do that at that price. So I'm glad I'm out of it in a way, but I miss opening the packs. It's very therapeutic opening a box, getting the packet, cutting the top, slowly raising the cards out, and then sorting them into their piles, and then going through them and looking at them and going, God, look at the beauty on that card, how well it's drawn. Oh. And I gave an idea to a tattoo artist and said, do you know what? You want to buy trading cards? And he went, why? I said, you want to look at the designs of those. They're small, square cards that are from big paintings. And you could get that and put that on your arm. You could trace it. And he went, oh, good idea. And I don't know whether he followed through or not. This was in the end of the 90s. And it was in my hometown. It wasn't in Manchester. So it was before I moved. Anyway, Nexus cards. And the other one was Spidey Hits cards. That was a good one. Very good if you're into trading cards. Go and have a look. Represent This did a Planet of the Apes, all retrospective. Absolutely everything you want to know. The build-up, how the script came along, how the script was changed, how internal mechanisms turned it into the film that it is, when it came out, the marketing when it came out, how it did, what films were around when it first hit the week that it was shown, every single one of the five Planet of the Apes films. And he also has done The Black Hole and a number of others. Fantastic. Represent This. Definitely worth a watch and maybe a subscribe on that one. James May, Planet Gin. This came up on my alert and it made me think back to my past of watching Top Gear. these two, Hammond and May, decided they'd go back to the old HQ where Top Gear was filmed, where they actually wrote the script, brought their ideas together. It was like a porterhouse cabin type thing. And I did go to Top Gear, and I did go to the track. And I remember seeing the outside of this HQ. So it was very interesting to watch for me, because I actually visited the Top Gear track on track day. I never saw the broadcast of the show. You were invited if you went for the day to go and do that, but I had to get back home, so never saw the show being made. The last one I've watched on YouTube is Retro Bits, where it was a guy that came up and said, and I quote, "The Commodore 128 is my favourite 8-bit, and why it's his favourite 8-bit." And to be quite honest, my biggest disappointment was the Commodore 128 and how it was treated. It had a 64 mode, it had a 128 mode, it had CPM. Stuff CPM, not interested. The 128, why isn't there more stuff in 128 mode? The Spectrum had a 128, and they put 2 games on each side, and one was enhanced and the other one didn't. It had fantastic sound on the Spectrum 128 version, and other enhancements that were made because of its 128 mode. The Commodore had a 128. It wasn't that close to the Commodore 64, which meant that it had the trappings, but you had 228k of memory and a few graphical things that you could do. And the biggest excitement and the game that I saw that my friend had was Elite 128. All the others, Kickstart 128, Thai Boxing 128, crap. All they were extra levels. More memory, extra levels, less loading. That's all they thought about. And I tell you what, there must be less than 100 games for the 128. I'm probably extending that. It should be more in the 20 to 30 range of proper Commodore 128 versions. So why? I know the reason. I'm just putting it out there. Why don't you discuss? I know the reason, but what a disappointment. It was a machine that could have been so much more. But it was at the time the Amiga was released. The A1000, admittedly, but it was the year that the Amiga came out. And a year after that, the whole world of computers changed to 16-bit, really. And that was the end. But I still think that the Commodore 128 had a life. It had another... Commodore 64 was around till 1992. So 85 to 1992 is a big span. And they did nothing with it. Shame. That's watched on YouTube. Film, TV, and soundtracks. I'll have to be very quick. Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Takes up this much on my pad. My God, man. Here we go. Top 5 crime films, 1996 to, I think it goes to 2024. I didn't check to see which one he brought out today. That's how much he keeps going. Steelbook from Delboy. Yes, I had a double. Sent it to him. I don't know why he bothered to do a video for it, but it was very enjoyable. I did phone him and I did say, look, I've got this Italian version of a Steelbook. Do you want it? Because I've got the British one. I think I bought it because I thought I would never get the British one, and I got it. So do you want it? And gave it to him. I could have took it to Sex or Kex, if you want to call it that. But he's my mate and he hasn't got it. So bang, instantly goes over there. Next one, Doctor Who Time Flight review. Next one, box of DVDs from Tony, the bastard, sending all them DVDs. Could have sent them to me, you little shit. No, fantastic. That was absolutely brilliant. Discussion, Why I Love History, which is what Denny was talking about. He looked at the Ladybird books, which we used to look as kids. All that painted art was absolutely fantastic, if you remember it. I do, plus Puffin books, I remember those. And then he talked about the news articles, and then he mentioned about those. Absolutely fantastic guy, really. He's done a number of these discussion points. Each one, great.
X-Files Season 3, Episode 18. What can I say? A review of X-Files, which I was heavily into. Packages from eBay, World of Books, and Music Magpie. I've started to use those a lot more, based on my experience with Jim Jam Movies, who I must mention, and Ian Hill. They've all told me, yeah, you need to go to World of Books and that. They're always doing specials and stuff. Why not? So I did. He did a live with me. There you are. What can you say? Absolutely fantastic guy. Worth a look. Definitely worth a like. Why not subscribe? There we are. Filled them all in. Oh, and hit that alert button. Do you like all that stuff that you get in those videos? I never do it at the end of mine. Oh, hit that subscribe. Do that like. I don't do that. But I do recommend you see his channel. Playtendo guy. I haven't spoken to Pete for a while, but he wished me well on Discord about my mum. Lovely guy. Miss him and Amy a lot. We haven't chatted. It's a shame. We tried to get a point where we were going to chat. He said he was going to call me. It hasn't happened. But he's a busy guy. And I don't want to call him because I'll probably be calling him at work. I don't know. But we stay in contact as best as possible. And he did Tony Hawk's Skater 3 and 4, which has just been remastered. Does anybody remember Tony Hawk's? I remember the second or third one, probably because Spidey was in it. Spidey could ride on a skateboard. Absolutely wonderful. Past that, I think I briefly went back on the PS3 when Tony Hawk's Ride came out. You bought a skateboard controller. It was when HMV were going bust. I bought it for 20 quid, down from 120 quid, so £100 was knocked off of it. Piece of shit. But it was 20 quid, so who cares? And he did a Mickey 17 film review, which a lot of my friends have watched. Let's get round to watching that one. Fantastic guy. Then we get to Mondo Celovic Movies, who I've got such great respect for. He did a chat with my friend Keith this week. Friday, I didn't get to watch that. But I did watch his channel, Mondo, and he did his entire Hammer collection, part 1 and 2. And his collection of Hammer films, my God, second to none, really. There's only one other person I think who's got a better Hammer collection. That's it, really. But I learnt so much from that. Sorry, I thought that was a message from hospital. It's not, but we are getting very close to that time now. So, salute, my friends. Sorry, moving forward, Jim Jam Movies. He got a gift from Jamie Powell. It seems to be a week of gifts this week. And he did a cinema trip to see Marching Powder, which I've heard about now. Didn't know much about it before, but I've heard about it. Apparently it's getting some good reviews. So that was interesting. Did you see that? Saw 2 other films. He did a movie review of Restless, which is a 2025 film, and a movie review of One of Them Days, a 2024/5 film. Again, 2 films I haven't seen. Very interesting to listen to his opinion on that. Got other stuff on there. He does chat and all that sort of stuff, gaming. So, worth a look. Through the Lens, my friend Josh. I haven't spoken to him for a while. Miss him an awful lot. His videos are brilliant. Production values are great, and his critiquing is different to everybody else's, which is why I watch it. I watch things that are different to other people. There's no point watching the same thing over and over and over again that somebody's reading out from Wikipedia or whatever. No. I'll watch one of those, and then I try and look for something that's slightly different. So Through the Lens is that. He did a Mickey 17, which he called Very Strange. And he did The Elastic State. Hurts My Brain, he said. Yeah, so 2 things there. If those titles mean something to you, you go over to that site right now, Through the Lens, and you watch my mate critique those films. Brilliant. And I even watched Euphoria Pictures, Keith. Don't watch his stuff that much anymore, but he's a great guy and his production values are fantastic. But I watched it because it came up on my alert as an Amadeus unboxing, and you'll see later on that Amadeus is a film that's also come through to me. So I wanted to know, because he got his a day earlier than me,
what it was like inside, and its production values have not changed. Absolutely fantastic. Second, I wouldn't say I've used that second to none too much, but I will say incredibly high. Very knowledgeable guy. Brilliant. We move now to games and tech YouTube. Okay, so we got my normal stay points of Down the Rabbit Hole, Robert's Retro Game, and Steve's Gaming. So what have we got? Down the Rabbit Hole, who I mentioned earlier on. He did the Pinball FX sequel mystery. Yes, he's getting back into Pinball FX. Didn't say what machine it was. I think it was VR or possibly his PC. But there is a sequel to a table in Pinball, which is not there. Now my phone's going off, so just bear with me. Right, hospital's caught up and it is now 1:30, so I must end this. So we have got Game Boy Advance Marble Madness is terrible on the Game Boy Advance from Down the Rabbit Hole. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for mentioning that. Means we can avoid it. Robert, so salute, my friend. Absolutely fantastic. You're bound sure to have another video out by now. But Robert's Retro Gaming, what can I say about him? Oh my God, royalty of Canada loves his Atari. But what's he done this week? No Man's Sky, episode 27. Subnautica, which I gave him as a Christmas present. Episode 17 and 18. He seems to be loving it. Fantastic. C64's version of Ghosts and Goblins. The Atari 8-bits Butterflies and the Lone Raider. I love the Lone Raider game, by the way. I thought that was brilliant. Atari 2600's old hit Haunted House. Haven't played that game in years. Wonderful. And that's it. Sorry for Robert. Absolutely some absolute corkers there this week. Loved it. Steve's Gaming. By the way, salute to Robert. Oh my God, you bastard. Fucking hate your show. You're too bloody good, you shit. I have to do my salute, of course. And my rant. And I've got another phone call, so please bear with me. And we're back, and that was the occupational health person who said that they're not going to be here till 3 now. And yet I've still got to pick up my mum. But so that means I still have to rush this. But where did I get to? I think it was Stuart's Gaming. Steve's Gaming, you bastard. Fucking hate you. Right, what's he done? He's got... I'm so sorry, I'm speeding up so much. How not to play Elden Ring, episodes 33 to 36. Commodore 16 game Dork's Dilemma. Commodore 16 game G-Man. Amstrad game Zap T Balls. And Darkula 64. I enjoyed pretty much all of those. I'm not into Elden Ring. Find that game frustrating and hard. I think actually I probably wouldn't buy it now. That does happen. It's not Steve's fault. It's just I follow him. I've watched those videos. Now there's no point with playing it. I don't think I'd get any enjoyment trying to do it myself, and I wouldn't do it any different. I'd be with a different character. But everything seems to be brown or gold looking in that game. But I tell you what, exceptional game, exceptional channel, absolutely fantastic gameplay from Steve. Because he dies. He's absolutely useless at it. So I hope he continues because it's just so entertaining. Him trying to kill a boss and die. Anyway, I digress. Fantastic channel. Love you, mate. Thanks for all your support. I hope people do go to your channel and watch. You're a great guy. Moving on. Colin Jones, a.k.a. Ponder. He's doing his 2 challenges. Tuber's High Score Challenges, Haunted Castle. Which I think is Castlevania, which was an arcade game, but enhanced for the Castlevania biography set. There's 2 sort of like collections for Castlevania. It's called Draconia, I think. They did Haunted Castle and they did a enhanced Haunted Castle. Trouble is, it's 20 quid at the moment. I got the first set, which is the early Castlevania games. So I need to get that. In fact, actually, that might be something that Steve can help me with in regards to the laptop I sent to him. I'll think about it. Anyway, he's doing the Mainmeister High Score Kerfuffle. He's doing Jailbreak. What a shit game. Whoever chose that, well, Konami, what can I say? You should be ashamed. I thought it was a bloody awful game. Then we salute my friend, absolutely fantastic channel.
20th Century Gaming did a C64 live last night of Midnight Resistance. Loved it. Took my mind away from the blog for a moment. I was so tired. I've been to see my mum and all that sort of stuff. Keep doing your stuff, matey. LFC Gamer and Vlog. So lovely to see him doing his blogs again. Talks about everything. Football, pickups, all that sort of stuff. Rants. You know, a few of those. He doesn't go over the top, though. He is a bit fed up with a few servers and things that are slowing him down. But I understand it. So he did his vlog on the 13th of March. So you don't have to go back too far to watch that. And then there's my friend Mainmeister. What can I say? The person who helped me get on the channel. The person who encouraged me. Been around 14 years. So here we go. Monday live stream, which was instead of the Sunday live stream, he did Anything 8-Bit. Nice and Nasty podcast with Novabug. Arcade Perfect My Arse of the game Mercs. And Friday Waffle Live. That's the end of the blog, written form. Quickly, what's arrived this week? Ugh. Boom. Okay. Couple of steel books and just one to mention. This did not come this week. This is just a show. A title I missed. It is called Dress to Kill. I've had this for 6, 7, 8 months. It's just come out from Arrow in a probably a better 4K edition. It's not steelbook. It's a media book. I bought this from Germany. I think I missed out the British one, unless it didn't come out in Britain. It's still 4K. I've got no buyer's remorse. This one perfectly suits me because it's in English. So fantastic. But anybody who's bought Dress to Kill this week, well done. It's now gone up in price. Such an awful lot. And I think the only other one is this one in this Warner Brother box, which I mentioned before. And if I open it up, you see you've got a huge edition of Amadeus, which has got controversy over it, because if you look at it, it's a lovely steelbook box set. Try and move that as close as possible so you can read it. But it's the theatrical cut only. It's not the extended one. Why not put the extended one in such a deluxe packaging? Well, we'll never really know. They're probably going to bring out another one. You know what I mean? It's not in the standard 4K release as a bonus at all. So it looks very much like they transferred the one that they thought people wanted. Again, I did trailers, but I've got to get to the hospital. I'll have to leave the trailers till next week. But I hope you like this blog. It's been a difficult week. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you to everybody who left a comment that was good. You're all in my thoughts. I'm off now to go and get my mum. When I get my mum, I'll spend some time with her. I'll try and do a thumbnail in between looking after my mum. And then this blog will be out. And we will be moving forward. And I will try this week to get some other videos out. When I get the odd 20 minutes, I'll do some of my friends that like me to play games. Those will be good. They're only 20 minutes long. I'm pretty sure I can find 20 minutes. So with that, listen out, my friends, for a text message that says, give me a game, please. The next one is Martroid. So, salute to everybody. Thank you for watching this silly waffle. And I hope you enjoyed it. Roll on next week. And all the kind thoughts. You're every single one I loved. Bye-bye.